ground to go play, rather, start going into different activities. And now, kids can come out here, use the basketball courts and stay out of trouble, among other things, but also helping them with their health is very great initiative.
Build up to 100 basketball courts of this quality in this country. So I think it's a great partnership. And through that, kids will learn to play basketball. They can go to the highest possible in that career. And through the game of basketball, they learn skills, life skills around discipline, around hard work, around teamwork, that we believe will help shape them as they shape their character to do great things in their careers.
Some voice words from the former NBA player. Yes. Something unique about Kenya and Nairobi that made you guys come and establish the office.
Well, first of all, that was my dear friend Hashim Thabit, who's from this region, played in the NBA, from Tanzania, 7'2", played at Connecticut, number 2 pick in the draft. Sure. And that was a basketball court that we launched in Banana at a small school called Loweswell Academy, which is, to your point, getting the game out. What's unique about Kenya? I think it's really Kenya, and it's the region. So as I mentioned before, Kenya has a long history of developing the game. And I tell people, anytime anyone will listen, I've been to dozens of countries on this continent. There's very few places where young people on the ground are working to develop the game of basketball the way that Kenyans have been and are working to develop the game of basketball. What's fascinating about it is that it hasn't been commercialized yet. Yet there are thousands of people playing and coaching and teaching the game. Now, that's one of the reasons we came to Kenya, because we see that there's an opportunity to grow the game and that we could be a match that helps light the spark. The other part is that the East African community is close to 500 million people. And so the one thing about the game of basketball, I saw you were talking about football earlier. Football, let me give you an example. If there are 1,000 football fans, right, just 1,000 of them, 600 might be EPL fans, 100 might be the Kenya League fans, another 100 might be La Liga or Bundesliga fans. If you have 1,000 basketball fans, typically all 1,000 of those fans are NBA fans. And so if you just do the sheer numbers, you see the passion for the game, you have the corporates in this part of the continent to help boost the game if we get it right. Those are some of the reasons why we put roots here in Nairobi, and specifically and in Kenya, and we think the game can really take off from here.
All right. Have you guys had some limitation while accessing the Africa grounds, the African community? Some of the limitations that you guys have faced?
Great question. The number one limitation is facilities. We need safe spaces for young people to play the game. And these are not cheap. So we need corporates, we need government, we need foundations, et cetera, to help us, work with us to build facilities for young people to play. That's one of the limitations. The other limitation is just not being able to get out extensively enough to give young people an opportunity to be identified, right? Like I mentioned earlier, a young lady from Mumias, Medina Okot, one of your, a generational talent. She was discovered by someone who gave her a chance to go to Mombasa and train, and then we heard about her. U.S. colleges got a chance to see her. That just happened organically. Now that the NBA is here, we want to create more opportunities to run more camps, more clinics, where we can see these young people at a much earlier age and give them an opportunity to move out into the world, whether it's go to a high school here in Nairobi, whether it's go to a university here in Kenya, whether it's to go somewhere on the African continent or somewhere on the globe to kind of harness their talent and to play and compete against the best of the best. So those are some of the limitations. And then corporates, the number of corporates that'll get into the game with the NBA to help grow it. I think those are some of the limitations that I would say are right off the top of my head.
And I'm seeing something on the screen that's the road to BAL, and Nairobi City Thunder being the first Kenyan team to take part in the tournament.
Yes.
It's been 5 years since the tournament was launched, the first of its own in Africa.
Yeah.
Nairobi City Thunder being part of the history.
Yes.
As one of the best team in Kenya, even playing in the road to BAL.
Yes.
What does it mean for NBA Africa, for NBA Kenya, and even for the Kenyan basketball?
So let me start with that one first. I mean, for Kenyan basketball, the Nairobi City Thunder have ignited a spark that has really kind of brought a lot of people back into the game and generated a ton of interest in the game. A group of guys and women that put a team together and brought in talent, really run the club like a professional club, has set the standard. I think they went 40-0 here in Kenya, going undefeated in the league. Create a huge amount of excitement, and there's a saying that rising tides raises all ships, right? So I think what you'll see going forward is other teams are going to do everything they can to knock them off. They qualified for the BAL, huge news. They went down to Kigali and competed against 3 other of the top 12 teams on the continent. They only got 1 victory, but a huge lesson learned. I think they're going to go shore up now to come back and fight to get into it again next year. It has just created a ton of excitement around the game. Now, what it does that's what it does for the local game. For the NBA, it's huge for us. We happened to open an office a year before. A year later, it looks like we did something. We just benefited from the fact that this team has really focused on the game and taken it to a level in the country I don't think that's ever been seen before. So it's done tremendous. Imagine if you're a young guy anywhere in this amazing country and you see the Nairobi City Thunder, that's what it takes. It takes aspiration. So I see myself now as a young boy, young girl saying, you know what, one day I want to play on that level. One day I want to play. I have aspirations to play. So now you're going to see a surge of kids that want to aspire to that. You're going to see a surge of young girls that want to do the same thing when they learn about Medina Okot or Grace Mbugua, who are overseas playing at the highest level. It's amazing what they've done in this country to boost the game of basketball, to boost the interest. The NBA benefits because now we have a Kenyan team, and the rest of the continent knows now, and the rest of the world knows that there's great basketball in Kenya. So it's everybody wins with it, and I think what you'll see with them, you have to, like, if you watch, I don't know if any of you were up late with, like, as I was this morning watching the NBA Finals. Oklahoma City Thunder, who just were crowned as the new champions, they had to learn how to win, right? They got up last year. A lot of people thought they should have had a chance to win it last year. They had one of the best teams in the NBA, but they hadn't learned how to win, right? So they went through those losses, went back, retooled this year. Looked like they weren't going to make it several times, but because they had learned how to win, they now are the NBA champions. I think you'll find the same thing with the Nairobi City Thunder. When they come back to the BAL, they'll be ready this time. It wasn't that they weren't good enough. They were better than some of the teams that beat them. They just didn't have the experience.
All right. We've mentioned the likes of Medina and what they are doing, the level of talent, or rather the talent that they are having. You said she's one of the generational talent that we will ever witness in the country.
Yeah.
The women basketball in Africa.
Yeah.
How the growth of women basketball in Africa? Maybe you'll say something.
So look, I think it's underdeveloped. The women's game is a lot more underdeveloped than the men's game. But like I said, in Kenya, you got 4 young ladies right now that if they were brought together as a national team and you added some of the local talent, I don't know how many teams that could beat them. Now, on the continent, the game, we don't have as many women's leagues, although you have a women's division here in Kenya, which is rare on the continent. So it's growing. Okay, it's growing, and you've had a number of WNBA players that have come from Africa. But once again, it's been organic, meaning there's a young lady, she's tall, she's talented, or she's really skilled. Somebody notices her, helps her get out, and then she makes it, right? Now it'll grow faster because we have FIBA camps, we have Her Time to Play programs, we have programs called BAL for Her. So we put more focus on the women's game, and our goal is that we will have 50% participation from women over the next 15 to 20 years in the game of basketball. So it's growing from strength to strength, but the women's game here in Kenya, the women's talent that has been exposed at this particular time is unique for anywhere in Africa. When you have 3 big-time Division I college players and 1 current WNBA player who's American citizen, but her father played for the Morans. So, you know, she is Kenyan and plays for the Connecticut Sun. So big growth of the game, and I think what you're going to see from this, the young girls that are going to start to watch Medina, Grace Mbugwa, who's at Louisville. Medina just transferred from Mississippi State to the #1 university program in America. They lost the championship this year, South Carolina, but they've won 3 out of the last 5. And so Medina's about to be on the global stage. She's going to be playing week in and week out on television. The young girls that are going to start to aspire to play the game in Kenya as a result of Medina, from Mumias, of Grace. Grace has a sister, and they're majestic. Grace and her sister's at Jackson State, both 6'5". Medina's 6'6". As young Kenyan girls start to see them and they're exposed a bit more, as they come back home, you're going to see a lot more women in Kenya go into the game, I believe. And as a result of that, you're going to see Kenyan women's basketball, you know, come to the fore as more young girls see that, hey, you know what, I can change my life with this game. I think you'll have more that'll go into the game.
One of the challenges that Kenyan basketball, more so the Premier League basketball, the top flight basketball league is facing, I think it's the facilities.
Sure. Because
sometimes you look at the Nyayo Stadium, Nyayo Gymnasium, that they depend so much, but then they get bulldozed by the volleyball federations, being forced. They are being forced to play outside, or rather outside using the outside courts.
Sure.
But have they approached you guys? Have they come out with the with the idea of coming up with a state-of-art arena, basketball arena, or maybe it's part of your plans to bring such facility in the country?
So it's not part of the NBA's plan. We don't typically build facilities, but it is part of our desire that this happens. And the people around the world, whether it be investors or local investors or foreign investors, who see opportunities in facilities and understand the opportunity that exists in world-class, well-run facilities, have approached us. And so we direct them and try to connect them through our network, whether it be with government or local business, to help get this done. Now, I know there are several groups that are pushing to get an indoor facility built here in Kenya. In Nairobi is the target. If you look at what's going on in Kigali and the fact that they built an arena and they've built a whole ecosystem that has emerged around that arena, right? You know, I know Kenyans are super competitive, especially when it comes to East Africans. I mean, if that facility was here in Nairobi, it's lights out. Like, as incredible as that facility is in Kigali and as amazing as what it has done, it just, you know, it's not Nairobi, right? And if that facility or a facility of that nature existed here, it would change everything. So we are helping motivate that. We certainly want that to happen. We are talking to different groups that are trying to make that happen. And so, yeah, we're doing everything we can in our power to facilitate a facility being built in the country. It's time. The opportunity, I think, the road to BAL that you mentioned that you saw on the screen, that was held at Kasarani. Kasarani seats about 5,000, but for global events, quite a bit of work would need to be done at Kasarani, right? You know, and 5,000 is, I think, big enough. We saw on a Tuesday night, 4,000 people came out to watch the Nairobi City Thunder, but we need better facilities. So we are doing what we can to help facilitate and motivate that.
You've been in Africa. You've traversed different countries.
Yes.
people seems to be falling in love with the game. Not like a few years ago, or rather few years ago. Talk about the fan zone. Where do you think, here in Kenya, people are falling in love with the basketball?
Yes.
Same with appears to, same replicates in Rwanda. Maybe what are they bringing, the fans, to the game?
I mean, passion, proof to brands that this game is more than just a game. You know, the difference between basketball and all the other sports is that it's the lifestyle, it's the fashion, it's the drip, as young people call it. It's like music, fashion, lifestyle all go along with the game of basketball. And so it's a different type of fan that is a part of the basketball community. What we're seeing, because young people live on their phones, right? Everything that they look at on their phones day to day is somehow attached to either music, fashion, lifestyle, right? And so you'll find that any of them that are following international artists, those artists, you'll see them courtside, you'll see what they wear. NBA players, it's like there's a saying, all NBA players want to be hip hop or artists, and all hip hop artists want to be professional basketball players. So that cultures, they melt. And young people, because they're living on their phones, the popularity of the game of basketball is shooting through the roof, not because they're all necessarily dribbling a ball yet, but because they love the swag that goes with the image that goes with it, the lifestyle that goes around the game. So the desire and the demand for the game is growing. The popularity of the NBA is massive compared to the popularity of the game of basketball, the number of players. So I think that's what I would sort of say, is that there's a certain fanaticism that comes with basketball fans. There's a certain swag and coolness factor that comes along with it. And as every person that comes to, you've been to Nyayo, I mean, anybody that gets up to go to the bathroom, you're basically on stage, right? If I walk from the end of Nyayo to go to the bathroom, everybody in the gym is looking at me. So I gotta be dressed, I gotta look a particular way, right? So I think that's sort of the fanaticism that goes along with the game of basketball and why the game is growing so fast. The popularity of the game is growing through the roof. We just have to build quick enough to supply that demand.
And NBA, at the end of the day, it's all about business. NBA Africa is a business now.
Sure, it is though. Yeah, you're right.
Maybe in-depth information on NBA Africa as a business setup and how you guys are benefiting.
So right now we're benefiting because we're growing our brand globally, right? And if we can, as I mentioned before, if we can generate tens of millions, eventually hundreds of millions of fans in Africa, our business will be successful, right? Because we believe that all of those fans will be NBA fans. All basketball fans will typically be an NBA fan. So now, how are we benefiting now? Fandom, growing the brand globally, yes. As a business on the African continent, we are still in the investment phase as a business, right? So we're investing in offices, we're investing in a league, we're investing in talent development, we're investing in all of these things that are required to build a business. This is not a short-term play for the NBA. So we're not extracting millions of dollars out of Africa, you know, we're not making millions of dollars in Africa. We are in the process, we're investing so that down the line, the NBA is able to have a successful business on the African continent. So right now we're in the investment phase. It's a long game for the NBA, but the opportunities are massive simply because Africa is young. Young people love fashion, lifestyle, music. All of them have phones. And we believe that one day, hundreds of millions of them will be NBA fans, and that means that they will be fans that will follow our game, watch our game, buy our, jerseys and our merchandise, et cetera. So, long play, huge opportunity in Africa, but it's going to take time.
I don't know what's plan you guys have in the next like 6 years, 6 months to come. Any basketball camps that you guys are planning to bring in the country? Any big tournaments you're planning for maybe to have in the country? You've talked about Nyayo, you've talked about Kasarani.
Yeah.
Any plan?
Well, thank you. A few of them. So one is, supporting the ecosystem so that the game continues to grow, and we need Nairobi City Thunder or another Kenyan team to knock them off and be in the BAL every year. Right? We need a Kenyan team in the BAL. So we are supporting that ecosystem to help make sure that Kenyan teams have a good chance to come in and participate and compete. In September, we are doing something with universities where we're putting a competition together called NBA Weekend. We're going to do it at the Garden City Mall parking lot. That's the last weekend in September, and that's going to be a big event focused on university basketball. We have the under-16 program that we run with M-Pesa, which is going to take off again towards the end of this year. We're going to be focusing on all 8 regions this year. This first year we did 4 regions. We'll do 8 regions next time, so that now kids from all over the country get an under-16, have a chance to compete and participate. We're doing FIBA camps in partnership with FIBA and the Kenya Basketball Federation. So we'll be identifying the top talent in Kenya to go to these FIBA camps. August 23rd to the 26th, we're having BWB, Basketball Without Borders, which every year we have Kenyan players that participate in that. That's going to be taking place in Kigali. We'll be identifying young Kenyans that are, if we find that are the top 30, one of the top 30 boys or one of the top 30 girls on this continent, we'll be going down to Kigali to participate. Last year we had 2 Kenyan females that were invited to Basketball Without Borders down in Johannesburg. So that's August 23rd to the 26th. September 26th and 27th, we're doing something called NBA Weekend. We have the under-16 program with M-Pesa. We have another program with the French Development Bank and Red Cross. That is an ongoing program where we're developing coaches and players on the ground here in that program is mainly in Nairobi. And we built a double court out at the Kenya Academy of Sport in partnership with the Ministry of Sport and CAS. And that program is running. So that's what we have coming up for the rest of the year. And then we just finished the finals, okay?
Yeah.
And at the end of October, we have the start of season again, where the new 25-26 NBA season will kick off. And so that's always big news for us. So yeah, those are things that the NBA Kenya office specifically has coming up, and more to come, because between that time, we'll be announcing some new partnerships in the country with corporates. And so stay tuned for that, and hopefully we can come back and talk about those things as well.
And Finley, I think corporates are responding so well to your ideas, to the NBA Kenya. They seem to be liking your ideas and investing in your ideas. But when it comes to Kenyan basketball, top flight basketball, seasons down, I haven't seen a sponsor coming up. I don't know. What do you think they're getting it wrong? Because no one, for where I'm sitting right now, I can say no one wants to, no corporate want to associate themselves with the Kenyan basketball, the Kenya Basketball Federation Premier League.
Okay.
Going down, season in, season out, no sponsors coming in, or rather no visible sponsor that someone can say, I'm associated with Kenya Basketball Federation. I'm associated with the Kenya top flight basketball.
Yeah.
Where do you think they are getting it wrong? And where do you think they should rather improve for them to attract the corporates who can support the game?
Yeah, so I won't say that they're quote unquote getting it wrong, because I'll tell you what I've seen in most countries, with the exception of a handful, they don't have a league. What the Kenyan Basketball Federation is getting right is that they have a league every year. And if anybody goes down to Nyayo and watches, the energy, the fever around it, especially now that the Thunder are part of it, is something that is really, it's hard to explain why there are no partners. Now, I am hearing through the grapevine that there are partners that are coming in for the next season. I've heard that. Now, I don't know if it's true or not, but we'll see. I think at the end of the day, they've got a good product. They're consistent because the league happens every year. I've been to going to games at in the Kenya League for the last 15 years. It all typically comes down to perception of legitimacy of management, right? And so I think they're doing things to get that right and fix that. And then it takes, if there were a better facility, I think it would be easier for corporates to kind of see it and understand it. Because Nyayo, you gotta go there and you gotta be intentional about it. Yeah. And I think sponsors may look at it and say it's a small venue, et cetera. If they go to those games, they feel the energy around it. And I think it's coming. I think it's just a matter of time. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think that they're getting a lot of things right. There are a couple of things that I think if they just made adjustments, that corporates would kind of say, you know what, this is a hot product, it's coming, we can trust them, and they'll go with it. I think it's just a matter of time before that happens. And with us being here, I think it'll help that as well. And we work closely with the Federation and the local league. So hopefully we can share best practices and improve.
Let's give them time. Anyway, because of time, I'm being told we have to wrap up. Okay. We can keep the conversation basketball going even for hours. But before we wrap up, because I understand there's parents who are watching, there's a kid who's watching, even a teacher or a basketball investor somewhere who's watching. Sure. Maybe I want you to speak to them. Lastly, let's wrap up.
I would say to the young Kenyans, opportunities are coming. If you love this game, you may not see it right now, keep working. There are many eyes now on the ground looking for young people that can play and trying to help them move to spaces where they can improve their talent. To parents, any sport, I would insist, my children, I must play sport because it's one of those things that helps a young person become more well-rounded. Basketball is a great game. We're working to get more young people access to the game, but it's coming. If you look at what's happening at the professional level in Kenya and the fact that now the NBA has one league that we own outside the United States. It's the Basketball Africa League. It's the pinnacle of African basketball. So the aspirational opportunities are there. Now we're helping to identify talent. I would say get into the game, work hard at the game, and opportunities will come. And there are young Kenyans that are proving that without the NBA having been here. So now that we're here, I think more of those opportunities are going to become available. Things are going to grow from strength to strength. We're just adding to what's already happening in Kenya, and I think that there's a bright future. So stay at it, keep going at the game, and I think your young person will be noticed, and opportunities will come for teachers to teach and coach. We're doing more of that. So yeah, I think that the future is bright for basketball in Kenya.
All right, thank you, Michael. Thank you for creating time. And thank you for doing what great job that you are doing to make sure the basketball in the country is growing. Keep doing what you're doing to make sure the kids out there have that experience of playing these beautiful sports.
Well, thank you for having me, Asante Sana. I really appreciate it, and keep doing what you guys are doing, boosting sport in the country. I think it's obviously one of the critical elements needed for all games to grow, but especially our beautiful game.
And thank you so much for watching. This has been Monday Bliss. My name is Duncan Tua. See you on Monday. Have a great week ahead.